A lot of Kentucky fans probably want the Cats to beat Loyola Maryland by 1,000,000, but I think the Wildcats have to show just a little bit more than what a box score indicates.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to be previewing Kentucky basketball's matchup with Loyola Maryland. Obviously, we want the Wildcats to win by 1,000,000, and I think a lot of fans are really in need of that right now, but it's more about what the box score shows that I think the Cats need to show to their fan base on Friday evening. Going to be breaking that one down for you, as well as kind of talking a little bit about why Kentucky needs to abandon the analytics a little bit. Obviously, I'm hinting here about more than just a box score. We need to see more from this Cats team based on the eye test, right? Just basically what we're seeing on and off the court. Can we see this team succeed outside of what the numbers are telling us? And then to wrap up the show, the Wildcats, much as we may not like it, they're not in a good spot right now with recruiting. They are in desperate need of landing anyone to kind of make this fan base feel a little bit better, because all of their top prospects have gone from, okay, we're going to get them, to, we're not entirely sure. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if their bet wins, they'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. Want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. The number one sports podcasting company in the country, in the world even. Really appreciate you guys tuning in here at Locked On, the number one sports podcast network. Also, thank you to the everydayers who watch the show every single day. Kentucky taking on Loyola Maryland on Friday evening. We are previewing this episode against the Greyhounds here on Thursday evening. What do we know about Loyola Maryland? Well, they are coached by Josh Leffler in the Patriot League. A season ago, they went 12-19 under Leffler. Nothing to speak of in the PL. And this year, they're off to a little bit of a rough start. They've had several opportunities to beat teams that, frankly, are in their stratosphere, in JIT, Fairfield, Duquesne, Towson, but they have failed to beat all of them. They are currently sitting at 2-4 with wins over Stonehill and then a Penn State Abington, who is not even a Division I team. Loyola Maryland, what do they do well? I would say that the only thing that this team does well on offense is score at the rim. They are 68th nationally in point distribution there in terms of percentage of points that they're getting from inside the arc, getting almost 55% there. And then on the other side, they do a pretty good job of preventing opponents from knocking down threes, period. They don't let them make threes. They don't let them take threes, but they are horrendous inside the arc. That's kind of the give and take there for this Greyhound squad. Forget the numbers for a second, though. Forget the analytics, which we'll dive into this a little bit more later on in the show. I want to see Kentucky win this game by 1,000,000. Ken Palm projects them to do so. I think a lot of you would agree. Just looking at this squad, you do a little bit of research. They're not particularly tall. They run their offense through primarily one guy. He has not been efficient. This is probably going to go very well for Kentucky, but it's more about the final score. It's about managing your rotations properly. It's about playing the right guys. It's about finding out what on earth you are on offense. Brandon Ramsey, I think, has done a phenomenal job over at Kentucky Sports Radio, breaking down all the different issues and then solutions with Kentucky's offense. The biggest question coming out of that Michigan State loss, why was Kentucky not running zoom action more? It was incredibly beneficial to them in the first half. In the early going, they made some mass substitutions. They stopped running it. They started playing more hero ball, more isolation stuff. And the Cats don't have the personnel to do that, and they failed to score efficiently on offense. It was a terrible, terrible outing for Kentucky's offense, for a coach that is known for getting his kids to score points, even when you don't have the best personnel. If Kentucky does not bulldoze this team with the right players, I'm going to start to have questions about how Mark Pope is operating with this team. And obviously, I'm not the head coach. I'm not a part of the staff. I've never been a part of a Division I college basketball staff. But if I can sit here along with thousands of other people, you as well, and say, this player is not affecting the game in a positive way, forget what the efficiencies say. Forget what the analytics say. If this individual player, every time he steps out onto the floor, is causing issues for the team as a whole because he is ineffective at his role or whatever you're trying to get him to do, you have to be able to step back and say, okay, I understand that the offensive and defensive ratings of all these different guys are like really good, but like my eyes are telling me something different. Against Loyola Maryland, this is basically a guinea pig. This is a lab rat. All due respect to the Greyhounds, you're not a good team. It's just simply not. If Kentucky loses a team, we're going to have some really interesting conversations about Mark Pope already, which is crazy to say, but I don't think we'll get there. What we are going to have conversations about is to whether or not you can run the right lineups. Aberdeen has been incredible whenever he's been in. He has been carrying this team. Jalen Lowe has been really good whenever he's in. Don't think he's going to be going in this game. Jaden Quains is not going to be playing in this game either. You have to pick your right lineups. Malachi Marino has been good whenever he's been in. Mohamed Diabate has been good whenever he has been in. Chandler has been really good offensively, but has struggled on defense. You have to play the right guys. Cam Williams, believe it or not, has actually made the team look better. He's made the team look better. Owe has been a negative. Yelovich has been a negative. Garrison has been a negative. Noah has been a negative at various points. Jasper has been a negative. You have to be able to say, I know that we paid all of these guys. I know that we have all of them. I know that I like all of them. I like these guys too, as well. Don't get me wrong. Winning becomes the priority over everything at some point, and you have to tighten your rotation a little bit, and you have to run what works. Run your zoom action. Drive to the rim. Be aggressive on the defensive end. Grab rebounds for the love of everything. Go after 50-50 balls. This Loyola Maryland team, like I mentioned, has the ball primarily run through one guy. And Jacob, I believe this is how you pronounce his last name, Theodosu? I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, Theodosu, Jacob Theodosu. I apologize if I am butchering that last name. I couldn't find any footage of this kid playing on YouTube, at least not immediately. So Jacob Theodosu is what I'm going for. A 6'4" guard. He's not shooting the ball well, but he is used on almost 34% of possessions, which is insane. They are running this kid into the ground at point. If you cannot slow him down, and this Loyola Maryland team, by brute forcing your way to a win with the right personnel, I want to see the right personnel. I want to see the right plays. I want to see the right effort. Obviously, effort is an issue right now. Owe talked about it after the loss, which is, I would rather him admit it than not. By the way, I don't buy into any of the body language stuff during the press conference. I think that's stupid to really look too hard into that. I think it's just a coincidence. I think it's going to be fine. But he did say effort. He said effort's an issue. Pope has said effort's an issue. He said it again earlier today in a press conference. I want to see effort. I want to see the right plays. I want to see the right things from what was supposed to be a national championship contender and a preseason top 5 team, according to the majority of computer models and people around Lexington. There were high expectations for this team. You are not meeting them. I want to see at bare minimum, I want to see my expectations met for how this team operates. This is too talented of a team for it to go to waste. You should beat Loyola Maryland by 1 million, but I want to see the right things happen while that goes on. Like I've mentioned already, and I've gotten into it a little bit already, at some point, you have to throw out some of these numbers. And I'm going to talk specifically about one player. And last year, I did not really dog any of the players that hard. I try really hard not to do that. And it's not fair to criticize who they are as human beings. So I'm criticizing how they play on the court. Let's make that very, very clear. Even if you are on the team, if you're on the staff, if you're watching this right now, I want to be clear, I'm not about to dog who they are as human beings. I'm about to criticize how they're playing on the basketball court based on what my eyes tell me and based on what thousands of other people's eyes tell them. And again, I'm not a part of this staff. I've never coached, but I can tell you for certain what my eyes are telling me means something's not right. I'm looking at things and I'm saying that cannot be right. You cannot think that that's okay. So far, Mark Pope has said pretty much the same thing. Let's dive into why I think you need to kind of abandon some of the analytics here. Not all of them, but some of them. Before we dive into that, though, we'll tell you guys real quick about our friends over at FanDuel. College basketball is back. I mean, I'm still excited that it's here, man. There's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on literally everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. You could maybe lay something down. I know it's not NBA, but on college football this weekend, Kentucky playing Vanderbilt, possibly playing spoiler against the Doors. I like them as underdogs. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, continuing along here on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, again, would like it if you did so. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to the live stream the other night. A lot of you called it my best episode ever, and all I did was sit there and shout at a camera for 30 minutes. Apologies to some of you for the overreactions I had probably through the middle of that episode. But I still think most of my points stand. And now that I've had time to reflect and think about where this team's at, where they're going, what the computer models have said, what my eyes have said, what Pope has said, I think it's pretty fair to say you have to throw out some of these numbers. In his press conference earlier today, Mark Pope was not asked, he was told that Brandon Garrison had not been playing well. And kind of where does he go from here? Pope, bless him, did not attack the reporter, did not criticize him, did not dog him, was not rude, just very gently said, and I respect him so much for this, very gently laid out the reasons why Garrison is not playing poorly. He's playing very well in Pope's mind, actually. He said that he had made significant strides throughout the course of the offseason, and that he's playing really well, both on offense and defense, incredibly valuable. So he did not even say, no, you're wrong, no, you're an idiot, no, you're stupid. He just said he's playing very well. And that was basically it. If you want to know what the numbers say, per 100 possessions right now, Brandon Garrison is averaging over almost 13 rebounds, 5 assists per game, while also scoring, I believe, 16.7 points per game per 100 possessions. I believe that's probably like fourth or fifth in the rotation, but the more interesting thing to me are the offensive rating and the defensive rating of this kid. He is second in offensive rating on the team right now. Second in offensive rating. A lot of that has to do with the high shooting percentage that he has. Right now, Brandon Garrison is shooting over 76.5% from the floor. 76.5%. Really, really good. That is the main reason why his offensive rating is so incredibly high. I also, if I'm not mistaken, he's not turning the ball over at as high of a rate as he was a season ago. But his offensive rating is second on the team. His defensive rating is fifth. So he's contributing. According to the numbers, he's contributing. According per 100 possessions, he's an incredibly valuable player. But if you watch Brandon Garrison play, it's not necessarily the high shooting efficiency is not what he is doing. He is a piece, a pawn in this offense. He is a part of the bigger picture. And he is the recipient of lobs, of pick and roll passes, of easy dump offs to finish at the rim. Any player his size or at his position could finish at nearly as high or higher of an efficiency than Garrison is currently, just because of the fact that the offense is giving him opportunities. This is not him carving out the role. The offense is giving him the role. It's giving him the opportunity to have this offensive rating that's so high. If you watch the way he's playing, he's being given, and he's capitalizing. Don't get me wrong, he's capitalizing. But just about anybody else could do the same thing if given the opportunity at his position with his size. So while he has been beneficial according to the numbers, he has played the role well. I don't think that tells the full story. Defensive rating only being 5th is a little surprising to me. He's actually behind Colin Chandler, who, if you dive deeper, is actually a net negative on the floor defensively. Denzel Aberdeen, Mo Diabate, and Trent Noah are also higher in defensive rating. Don't necessarily know if I buy Noah. I do buy Diabate and Aberdeen. Most of Kentucky, actually almost all of Kentucky's lineup, by the way, is under 100, under a 100 defensive rating, which is really good, actually. The only player that's not underneath it is Jasper Johnson at 101.7, which is still not horrible. It's still not bad, actually. I don't necessarily buy the numbers. I don't buy the advanced analytics. I'm not sitting here on KenPom or Sports Reference or Evan Mia or Hasla or Torvik. I'm not sitting here and looking at it and going, oh, cool. Well, our defensive numbers say we're good, so we're good. Oh, Brandon Garrison's second in offensive rating, so he's good. I'm actually watching what Kentucky is doing against quality competition. Brandon Garrison was a net negative against Michigan State. He had a bad game. I believe Pope actually said that as well. He had a bad game alongside everybody else. There's a clip that has been running amok on Twitter of Brandon Garrison with the opportunity to grab the easiest rebound of his life. I know a lot of people like to stretch the truth. There's a lot of hyperbole in saying, well, my grandma could grab that rebound, or I could grab that rebound, and I'm 5'7", or what have you. This is not a joke. You could have grabbed that board. He missed it. It was a clear lack of effort. Another shot gets put up against Michigan State. He could have grabbed that board as well. He does not grab the board. He is simply watching the ball and then putting up his hands about a half second or so after the ball travels past him. It is incredibly low effort. He's not playing well. He's not giving effort. Malachi Marino, I know, has had some issues, some ups and downs, but he has been a far more consistent player. I'm not looking for second in offensive rating. I'm not looking for incredibly high assist rate. I don't care what the advanced analytics say. Are you winning games with this player on the floor? When I watch, is he contributing? And so far, against two quality opponents, he has looked like trash. He has played poorly. No comment on the young man's character. I'm sure he's a fine person to be around. I have no idea how he acts, who he is. I'm sure he's great. His play so far has not been consistent. It's been inconsistent. A third-year player, previously a McDonald's All-American, in year 3 cannot show consistency. I think there are two reasons why this is. One of them is that that's just who he is. That's how he is as a player. In which case, I say, great, you shouldn't be starting. You should be contributing, but you shouldn't be starting over Marino, who has a higher floor and is just simply more consistent. The other reason is, my guess, is the coaching staff isn't getting the consistency out of him via their development, via their coaching. And I know what Pope said. He said he's taken strides in the offseason. He looks the exact same. To me, he looks the same. We were looking for consistency. That's what we wanted. There were high highs and there were awful lows. And so far, through 5 games, Kentucky is the exact same way with Garrison on the floor. You need to throw out the analytics and just look at what your eyes are telling you. Look at what your eyes are telling you about these rotations. Just because you have 12 players doesn't mean you have to play all of them. It's situational, it's personnel-based, it's matchup-based. Look at how they're playing in the game and leave the kids out there, especially if there's no foul trouble. Let the best players play. The goal is to quote, I don't even remember who it is. We play to win the game. Play your best players the most minutes. The inconsistent ones can come off the bench and be sparks or limit the damage that they do when they're having an off night. That is my take. Forget the numbers. Look at what your eyes are telling you. We have given up 96 points and 83 points to the two teams on our schedule worth their salt. Play the best. Unfortunately, we now have to transition to a negative note. Kentucky recruiting right now doesn't seem like it's in that great of a spot. Throughout the course of the offseason, the summer, there are a lot of different kids that I was looking up at saying, oh, Kentucky's got a shot with this guy, with this guy, with this guy, with this guy. And it's just sort of trickled away from them. It's just sort of kind of quietly gone the way of the dodo. Either the kids have committed elsewhere, or even the kids that have been given crystal balls to commit to Kentucky, for some odd reason, we're just sort of in limbo with them. Most notably, Tyran Stokes, the #1 overall recruit. If Kentucky ends up getting him, great. Would love to have him. This has been a bizarre recruitment. And part of it's not Kentucky's fault, to be clear. Part of it makes me think it is Kentucky's fault because I don't necessarily know what Mark Pope and company are looking for. I don't necessarily know if they're not willing to cough up the money, but something is not wholeheartedly accepting of some of these 5 stars on Kentucky's end because the deals would have been done by now. They're getting done elsewhere. They could have been done by here by now. And I'll just really brief tidbit. All of the incredibly uber talented freshmen across college basketball that are blossoming into stars. Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, all of these different guys that are really, really good. Even names you didn't necessarily even hear of are just blossoming at their schools. And we'll see what Jasper turns into. I like Malachi Marino a lot. We're not getting that. We are not getting the highs of what Caleb Wilson is going to become as a player. And we got close. We got close. Players like AJ DeBansta are heading to BYU, of all places, to go play basketball. Why? Money. Kentucky wasn't coughing that up. It's same in the transfer portal. They would have had them if they had just been willing to put down the money, or either that or the kids don't like us. Specifically Pope, I should say. I don't know what it is, but clearly something's a turnoff. Tyran Stokes, this is the most recent update from Joe Tipton of On3. Direct quote here. I'll read the whole paragraph. What a recruitment it's been for the #1 player in the class. The 6'7" wing, get your jokes in now, is down to 3 programs, Kentucky, Kansas, and Oregon. For a long stretch, Mark Pope and the Wildcats were widely viewed as the favorite for Stokes. A month ago, it would have been hard to imagine him landing anywhere else, but as the process has dragged on, it's allowed other schools to close the gap. Kansas is still very much in the mix, and the Jayhawks have done enough to give themselves a genuine shot of winning out. However, Stokes being a Nike athlete adds an interesting wrinkle and works in favor of Kentucky and Oregon. Now, the big question is how much Nike's presence factors into his final choice, or if Stokes makes his own decision regardless of brand affiliation. That is the most recent update, again, from On3's Joe Tipton. This should have been wrapped up by now. Part of this is Kentucky's fault. I think most of it, for this kid, has to do with Stokes himself. I think that's the biggest issue at the end of the day. So we'll give Kentucky a pass on this one. 5-star guard Caleb Holt. According to the most recent report from Tipton, direct quote here, Kentucky was once near the top of his list, but it sounds like they've slipped a bit and would need to make a push to climb back into a strong position. Another uber-talented 5-star Kentucky is just slipping with. Why? I don't know. They are now out of the race entirely for 5-star point guard Darren Rippey Jr., someone who I really think is going to blossom next season. They're not in his top 5. Kentucky's not in his top 5. They're out. Another guard Kentucky has just slipped away from. 5-star Christian Collins, who received a crystal ball to commit to Kentucky. Direct quote, Collins named his final 3 schools at the beginning of November, Kentucky, USC, and UCLA. Earlier this month, USC was viewed as the leader for the 6'8" small forward, but the momentum shifted, and Kentucky moved in front, a position the Wildcats have held ever since. I currently have an RPM in for UK. The interesting part about this recruitment is that Colin still hasn't announced a decision, and his mother recently told KSR's Jacob Polachek that he will not sign until the spring. That doesn't necessarily mean he'll wait that long to commit, but it has added some uncertainty to the timeline. Uncertainty with the two top 5 players here. You're out of the race for the other 5-star guard that would have been really good, I think. You're slipping away, basically out of the race for Caleb Holt, unless something changes. Maximo Adams committed to UNC. There's another kid that Kentucky lost interest in, I guess. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the money. I don't know if Pope is looking for kids that just fit the vibe. But I think the fan base will tell him very quickly, and I'm pretty sure they already have, if he doesn't already know, which I'm guessing he does. He's not an idiot. He's a very smart guy. Very, very intelligent individual. We're not just going to sit here and lay back and get the lunch pail type guys and accept lunch pail type results. Just because you really like the gritty 3-star or 4-star or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be okay with 3 and 4-star results. If you understand what I'm saying. The streets in Lexington need Cadillacs, man. They need dogs. They need real talent. We want the lunch pail mentality, the grit and grind, what Cal was so good at, with the penthouse view. We want the penthouse results with the grit and grind mentality. It's been done. It's being done at so many other programs. Houston, UConn, Auburn up until this year, Duke. And it needs to be done here at Kentucky. The program needs an edge. And if they find it this year, which I fully believe this roster has it in them, awesome. If they find that edge, awesome. But they need it next year. Bad. If things don't go well this season, they need to bring in some dogs, some real horses to get this thing going. Throw the analytics out for the most part. Go get guys that can make this thing work. And I'm not saying fill your entire roster with 5-star freshmen, because obviously you're going to have guys coming back next year and you're going to be able to hit the portal. Go spend for the best. Go get the best. Not the ones that just goody two-shoes fit in here, which I'm sure all of these young individuals are great people and they're going to figure it out. If Pope says we're not going to fail, I trust you. I want to see it, but I trust you. But we need some kids. We need some fire, man. We need it now, and we sure need it next year if we don't get it this season. Some weird stuff going on, man, right now with Kentucky. Some weird stuff. 5 games in, and there's a lot of pressure on Pope, and I do feel for him because some of it's not fair, but also at the same time, he said it more than anyone else. This is the job. You know what you knew what you were getting into, and now it's time to put up. We'll see. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at @LanceDawe_ and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for a recap episode of Kentucky versus Loyola Maryland. Until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and God bless.